In January, Missouri Democrat Jay Nixon will deliver his final State of the State gubernatorial address to a legislature dominated by Republicans. It will be an election year, but for the first time in a long time, Nixon's name won't be on any ballot.
How strange is it not to be involved in that sort of business right now?
Strange could be seen as a pejorative term, and the term that comes to mind for me is far more liberating than strange. It's good to be able to not think about the politics and think about the policy.
Nixon's tenure as chief executive has been marked by an aggressive rebuild of Missouri's economy. He has used tax credits to lure thousands of jobs. He has fought to protect labor organizations.
Right to work is wrong.
And he's not been afraid to commit public dollars for redevelopment. His battle with conservative lawmakers over the St. Louis Sports Stadium project looms large in his final year.
The conventional wisdom, Governor, is that you know in your heart of hearts that if you ask the voters of Missouri to approve that, they won't do it, and that's why you won't ask them.
Well, you don't vote on economic development projects, you use the tools you have.
In this case, a hotly contested bonding authority approved by lawmakers decades ago. Nixon's critics want to define him by his travel habits. History will remember him by the major events that have occurred under his term. Early on, the Joplin tornado challenged his ability to marshal resources.
What did the president say to you this morning?
He pledged whatever it takes to make sure we get this area rebuilt.
It took a while, but Joplin did recover.
And I'm just real proud of the outcome of that.
And then there's Ferguson.
This is a test. The eyes of the world are watching.
Nixon's critics ripped him for failing to use the National Guard effectively.
We shoot back! We shoot back!
One even laid the responsibility for the violence at his feet.
A human rights violation which our governor allowed to happen.
Certainly there was some things that happened which were deeply disappointing. You know, some buildings were damaged and things like that. But the fact that we did not end up with, a Kent State situation or something like that, I think will, when people look back on that, and then the positive changes are now being made. The historic municipal court reform bill that was passed.
I am a revolutionary.
Fast forward to the situation at Mizzou.
If Ferguson doesn't happen a year ago, does this happen now?
You know, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of energy out there on these issues. I think you've got a whole new generation of folks involved in these issues and a whole new set of tactics and methodology.
The governor says he has not met with the concerned Student 1950 group as they have demanded. Looking forward to his final year in office, the governor wants to put ethics back on the legislature's front burner. As to what lies beyond 2016, Nixon routinely has dismissed questions about presidential aspirations.
The fact that questions like that are not met with laughter is a very nice birthday present. Thank you.
But that does not mean he would not accept an appointed position in a Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders administration.
I'm pretty sure about a couple of things. I'm not going to be a lobbyist. I'm not going to be the guy that folks like Kermit Miller are going to call and say, well, this governor 5 years from now, do you think he did the right thing or the wrong thing? I'm not going to be that person. If somebody has the guts and courage to run for governor and gets elected by the people, I'm going to be supportive of that person to succeed.
Still smarting over the tactic used to force a vote on right to work, key Senate Democrats made it clear they were prepared to let the session end without action on critical legislation to reauthorize the funding of Medicaid.
We need to have a functioning Senate, and what happened on Tuesday put us in a different place.
The very fabric of the Senate was torn on Tuesday.
But after a recess of several hours, the Dems relented and allowed the funding bill to move.
To put that population at risk for pure politics, I think is a mistake.
Immediately after which, the majority leader adjourned the session.
With that, we'll go to the order of business announcements.
We needed to pass the bill. So why prolong it? Why wait for a special session?
While the funding matter was resolved, 3 days of filibuster stalled and ultimately killed the legislation restricting the police use of deadly force.
Because of the fiasco in the last 72 hours, we don't have time to go to a conference committee. And I want to know who in this body is going to go to the 14th district when I have more people getting killed by police officers.
The Senate Judiciary Chairman says lawmakers will come back to that issue next year.
And there are some things in the House bill that there's no way would have passed the Senate, and I frankly would not have made the motion.
At the Capitol, Kermit Miller, KRCG 13. Busloads of people from St. Louis and Kansas City filled the Capitol Rotunda shortly before the noon gavel to open the session. It was a blend of clergy, social welfare groups, and political activists, with a blended agenda ranging from the expansion of Medicaid to the reform of law enforcement.
Until our voices are heard, our demands are met.
This demonstration was anticipated. This one caught Senate leaders by surprise.
You have rudely inserted yourself into a solemn proceeding. The Missouri Senate will stand at ease until the gallery is cleared.
The protesters did not resist Capitol Police and Highway Patrol officers, and the Senate proceeded to swear in the members elected in November, including Callaway County's Jeannie Riddle and Cole County's Mike Kehoe.
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Republican majority in the Senate has increased by 1 to 25. St. Louis Democrat Joe Keaveney leads only 9 members in the minority party.
These are very difficult times. There's a lot of people that feel that they aren't part of the system, that they're being taken advantage of.
Proposals to mandate body cameras on police officers and revamp or even scrap the grand jury system are sure to attract a spotlight. Republican leaders seem more focused on resolving the student transfer issue in failing school districts and correcting problems in the municipal courts, particularly in North St. Louis County.
Our action will be to curb what we believe to be abuses of the court system.